What if you could fuel your body with the ultimate blend of superfoods, enzymes, and essential nutrients, all in one powerful formula, the ultimate superfood? Set up your health with a strong foundation. And we're going to be talking about that and a lot more right after this. I always feel like dancing it when I hear that music.
I love it. It's just makes me want to dance. You got it. You picked an awesome track.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, George. Welcome. Glad to have you here. You have another comment, but we're going to save it for a little later in the show. All right. Before I forget, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. It's really, really important. Help get the word out. In fact, you can even hit share and share it with your friends. And we are uncensored on Telegram right after this. So we go about a half an hour. At the top of the hour, t.me/life&co, where we are uncensored. We don't have to worry about what we have to say. We put a short up that was 53 seconds long. At second 50, there was something in there that YouTube didn't like. So they gave us a strike.
And when they give you a strike, that's strike one, and 3 strikes, you're out. And being out of YouTube sucks. And so the censorship is alive and well.
It is. So t.me/life&co, get away from the censorship. All right. And with that, we want to talk about nutrition. March is Nutrition Month. And one of the problems, the Congress of the United States of America did a study. They commissioned a study. And the study said that the amount of nutrients in the soil was so low that the quality of the nutrients in the fruits and vegetables was like 50 or 60 or 70% less than it was 50 years ago. The sad part about this is that the study was done and went to Congress in 1920 or 1910.
No,
So
1937, Scott.
1937. So it's like almost 100 years later, and we still think the thing to do is throw herbicides, pesticides, and fertilizer on stuff to solve our nutrition problem. So, Martin, do we have your attention?
Yeah, you do.
This is where you're supposed to jump in and say something.
Oh, for Lord's sake, what am I to say?
Well, you say, you know what? We figured out what nutrients we need to put into people's bodies, and we stuck it in a superfood so that they could.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for filling in for me. I was just reading on the Iridesca page, you see. So I wanted to refresh something in my memory so I would be sounding intelligent next time I open my mouth. I wasn't ready.
I, by the way, have the page ready to show everybody when it's time to show them.
All right, awesome.
So let's talk about the impact of poor nutrition on energy, mental clarity, aging, and preventing disease.
Okay, so what I got stuck in is I was musing in my head, riffing off of the 1937 report. And here's what I remember, is when farmers were first turning prairie into fields, they would do that in sections, and they would do 10 more feet or 20 more feet that they would plow under. Remember, they were plowing with horses, so it was a lot of effort. And they would be plowing the prairie the first time. The prairie was, I don't know how many thousands of years of prairie with grasses and whatnot, and then they would till it and turn it into a field, and they would plant grain, probably wheat. And what was interesting is that the new section, the newly added piece always grew taller wheat than the part that was planted for some years already. And the reason for that, of course, is the vital force, the vital energy of the soil that was in the natural state. So I'm now talking about the 1800s or early 1900s, the opening of the prairies for agriculture. And then this 1937 study, they were comparing themselves to the mineral levels from only 50 years earlier, 1880s. And then I looked up some new study done in 2005, and in it, they were saying that we have still gone dramatically down. And what was really important was that everything was down, but the GMO foods like GMO corn, GMO wheat, and industrial produce was down twice as bad compared to organic. So to explain, if the level of minerals in the food that you're eating now is at 10% of what it was, what great grandmother was eating, that means that when she ate a pound of broccoli, you now need to eat 10 pounds of broccoli to get the mineralization. So who cares about mineralization, right? It's the zeta potential in your body. It's the mineral density in the food you take in. So if you don't take enough minerals, your body says, I don't have enough, feed me. And what you do is you feed it pizza and calzone and spaghetti meatballs, and that's not minerals. And so at the end of that meal, it says, feed me more. And so you'll end up with calorie-rich, nutrient-poor obesity, more energy than the body can use. So that's the stuff that was echoing in my head when you were talking before you asked me a question.
Really well said, Martin, because I think you hit on the major points. And if you don't have the minerals and you don't have everything that you need in your body, you're not going to be thinking clearly. You're not going to have the energy you want. You're going to look older sooner.
Yep.
All those things are going to be happening.
Yeah, it's the civilization illness, which we now understand, or they started calling it the metabolic dysregulation or metabolic illness. I used to call it chronic degenerative inflammatory condition, but it includes so much, right? It starts with the cardiovascular, so blood pressure, cholesterol, heart attack, diabetes, obesity, arthritis, joint pain, fibromyalgia, cancer. All of these, every one of these that I just threw in, are metabolic diseases. They are reached at the back end of inadequate food intake or inappropriate food intake. And the important part is this: our ancestors, up to the start of Industrial Revolution, they all lived fairly well, in mostly in the terrain and environment in which they were born. Meaning this, travel was not common. There were traders and travelers, but for the most part, if you were born in Norway, you lived and you died in Norway.
Usually within like 20 miles of where you were born, right?
Right. And the main point is that the climate of that place is whatever it is, and the food resource of that place is whatever it is. There was not a whole lot of movement of food resources. Like we did not used to get bananas and I don't know what else, apples in the middle of the winter and strawberries 12 months of the year, that sort of thing, right? And so, yeah, genetically,
that impacts how they take food in, right? Like if you
Yeah.
genetically go back 10,000 years and you're eating salmon out of the sea, and it's the odd nuts and berries sort of thing, then all of a sudden you have pineapples and tropical fruits coming in,
yeah,
rice. Your body's not going to be as appreciative as we might think.
yeah. Availability of grain was the major shift. See, like the Po Valley in northern Italy, that the granary of the Roman Empire, where wheat grows readily, gave rise to the wheat culture. But up in the colder climates, like where I grew up, wheat was rare. We had barley and we had rye and we had lentils and peas. And so my ancestors were not adapted to a lot of wheat. And way north, like Sweden, Norway, British Isles. I mean, think of the Scottish people: barley, oats, and animal foods, right? Cabbage.
Yeah, we had lots of sheep.
Yeah, exactly. Eat haggis. Yeah, where I grew up, head cheese was the staple because it would last a long time, right? Like they butchered the pig in February. And the reason they do it then is because it was cold. So they could store stuff. It would last longer that way. And they had time to process it. And they would make salami by drying it, and ham by curing it, and all of the ways that we would preserve things and make them last longer. But it was not done in the summer.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have the wrong type of food. We have food that has no nutrition in it.
Yeah.
And so I guess the big question is, well, that's okay. I understand all that, but you know what? I have my bottle of vitamin C, and I have my bottle of magnesium, and I have a thing of vitamin. I was going to say something else, but calcium or something that I take. So I'm fine because I've got these pills and stuff.
Somehow this society has decided that they're going to major in minor things. It's the food. The vitamins are not unimportant, but they're secondary. The primary stuff is the macronutrients, which is fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, and you need to have the right ratio of them that matches your genetics. And the second thing that really matters are the things that protect it from spoilage. They're called pigments, and they are colorful, and they were known as herbs and spices. And so the red and blue and brown and yellow, the turmeric, the red pepper, the capsicum, the the blue pigment would be probably from what's it called? Phytocyanin. That would be from spirulina and other blue-green algae. That sort of stuff, right? Those are the most important parts of your nutrition, because those are the ones that will give you longevity. They will give you functional integrity. They will repair you from the wear and tear of life.
And that's what we're not getting.
That's what we're getting not too little of. The nutrient density is low compared to the calorie density.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've only got about 10 minutes left. So I think this is a good time to talk about what I think is one of the best superfoods ever, which is Iridesca.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about it. Like, what makes it special in your mind?
Yeah. I would like to try a metaphor. If you take a string quartet, you have 4 people playing music, and you can do some pretty decent things. You can play all kinds of very pretty stuff. You add piano to it, and you're really doing nice things. But then, if you want to stage something like the Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, you need the entire symphonic orchestra and a choir on top. And that's what Iridesca is like. It's a salad made with 337 ingredients. And that salad has been made powdered by drying it. And so by drying it, we make it dormant. And dormant means that the nutrients and all the nutritional value is preserved, waiting for it to be brought to life. And that happens when you make it wet and warm. You put it inside of you with water or juice. And so these 337 nutrients or ingredients are very carefully selected for quality, density, and for balance, because you need to have not too much of this, not too much of that. You want to stimulate the body in a harmonious way. There are many regulatory processes in the body that regulate your immune system, your autonomic nervous system, your digestion, and all of that. And you want to make sure that it's harmonized rather than too much of this or too much of that. So this is not done through a spreadsheet. This is done through an empirical knowledge and meditative contemplation of all of these things. So that's the concept. I can go quite nerdy and start telling you about the stuff that goes in it. Like, for example, when we crack a seed, the seed is the most intense store of energy because the seed has all the material that allows a plant to reproduce itself. So when I take flax seed or raspberry seed or whatever else seed, once I crack it open, I expose all its fragile nutrients to the elements. So we do that in presence of emulsifiers and antioxidants, so they don't go rancid when we crack them open. That's the classic problem of, flax meal that you buy. If it's not frozen, it's going to go rancid. So you need to do it fresh or dried or protected by antioxidants. And the other thing is the technology of nutrient extraction. It's really important that you understand that not all that is ingested is absorbed. And it's like this. Your body, your digestive system can extract nutrition only at the surface level of what you are ingesting. So we chew food to particle size reduce it. That's helping. But in case of these things, you need to actually make them fine powder. And the smaller the particle size, the greater the surface area. So it's like comparing peas to golf balls. There's way more surface area in a specific volume of peas than there is of golf balls. And once you realize that, you will realize that a teaspoon of fine powder goes farther than 3 teaspoons of coarse powder. And that's why you, Scott, and others are having such great benefits from using Iridesca as opposed to some other competitive product, because we go to the trouble of making it very fine powder while preserving its enzyme activity. It's super easy to make something fine powder when you throw it into a grinder, but if you run it at industrial speeds, you raise the temperature, and by raising the temperature, you kill the enzymes.
Yeah, Martin, you remind me of a time we were talking, and we were talking about, like, let's explode the production. And so you started talking to different mills that would grind stuff, right? They said, yeah, we can do it, no problem. And then you said, well, like, you can't cook the food. What do you mean? Yeah. And they said, no, when we grind it, it's going to go up to, like, I don't know what the temperature was, but pretty much burns everything out.
Well, the enzyme limit is about 118 Fahrenheit. So anything above that, you've just destroyed the enzymatic value of the food.
And that kind of sums it up, right? Like, our whole production process is set up to destroy enzymes, to destroy the quality of the food, the stuff in the food that we need, right? The reason that flour sits in a bag for 6 months on the grocery store shelves is because all the stuff that you really would like to get out of the wheat germ is gone.
They're gone. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works. You have to kill the enzymes, otherwise the food will spoil.
Yeah. And if it spoils, it usually means it's good for you. Like,
right, but
don't eat it when
it
it's
lasts
spoiled.
so long. You know what's interesting? I remember, this is a sidebar, but I remember beer in Czech Republic when I was growing up. The beer was not pasteurized. It was made raw. And so at about 2 weeks on the store shelf, it would go cloudy. It would just go skunky. And we would know that. And so anyway, later they started pasteurizing the beer. Like the same Czech beer that tastes awesome when you're back there, you buy it in America and it's been pasteurized because it needs to survive the boat transport and the 3 months on the shelf and whatever. And so it's pasteurized and it's a dead beer. Same ingredients, just dead.
And does it taste as good?
No.
No. All right.
It reminds you of it.
Well, that's sort of a bittersweet thing, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And we had a comment from George. This is a good time to share it.
Yeah.
He says, I have in front of me a bottle of Exela or a Fit purchased at a 40% discount. Really good stuff. So he took advantage of our sale a month or so ago.
Well, it's still on. While quantities last, that sale is on.
All
there
right.
are 3 products that are aging. You know, we put 3-year best before date on it, and these things are about 1.5 years old, and we want to move them before they get really old looking.
Awesome. All right. We've got a few minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about the cost versus value of the product.
Yeah.
Because you can go into the store and get this massive tub for $15 and it's not good.
Yeah. I don't know if we lost your connection or what, but it just went quiet. Well, I remember we took a bottle of Iridesca and the list of ingredients, and then we went into a health food store, and we went shopping for the ingredients. And the bottle of Iridesca is currently selling for $150, and that's about a 2-month supply for most people. So at $2 to $3 a day, that's your supplement there. Anyway, I was about halfway through the list of ingredients, and I was already at over $400 in the shopping cart, just shopping for what's in it. Because when you buy stuff one at a time in capsules, it's marked up every time somebody touches it. So this markup on the ingredients as you know them ends up costing you a lot more. And especially the sellers, like I remember the television promotions, you know, the Stephen Gundry and the other sellers of stuff, similar type. They have awesome stories. And then you look under the hood and you just see the ingredients per teaspoon and how much. What will you pay for it? And that's where you'll see the value versus price. The cheap stuff is actually waste of money.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. The price is a lot less and the value is a lot more, like the quality of the nutrients you're getting.
Yeah.
And I think maybe what might be a good time or place to kind of close this off is you were talking once about an orangutan and they followed it, or a chimpanzee.
Orangutan, for sure.
What did he, because there's like 300 or 400 different nutrients or different plants items in Iridesca, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like today, I've had an egg, some potato, an orange, onions, and I'm halfway through my day. So was that 10 things? And we'll have
Probably something like that. And your salad, of course, will have probably 10 things: tomato, carrot, cucumber, onion, lettuce, five types of leaves, mustard leaf, beet leaf, red lettuce, green lettuce. But you'll probably be done by 10. Anyway, so this orangutan, in a course of 7 days, ate 400 different plants. So he's essentially a traveling botanist, identifying various species and eating this and that and the other, right? Like anyway, Iridesca is made with 337 ingredients.
I forgot to say I had 370 different products this morning because I had a bottle of it. I mean, a glass of it.
Yeah.
Which actually, this story reminds me of a short video that I saw, and this guy has a banana, and he gives it to the orangutan that's sitting beside him, right? And of course, he's opened it, so there's the part that we eat, and the orangutan takes it, throws the part that we eat away, and eats the skin of the banana. And the guy says, maybe we got this fruit thing backwards.
Yep. Isn't that something?
It is. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So, Martin, any last words before we sign off for today?
Oh, my. Well, what to say about Iridesca? It's carefully made in small batches. It's made with love. We meditate over it as we produce it. The vibrational health is awesome. We totally avoid things like maltodextrin or other sweeteners. We flavor it with edible plant oils. It's about as good as you can make stuff. It blends readily into smoothies. You can throw it in with some blueberries or celery sticks, or you can go plant like avocado, spinach, lettuce, Iridesca, or you can go fruit side, apple, whatever. You can just mix it into just aronia juice or orange juice if you want, but it'll mix into anything. And because it's fine particle size, you can just whip it with a whisk or a fork. It'll not settle to the bottom. You can just drink it. And the benefits are awesome.
Yeah, I can attribute to that. Like, it's really been wonderful. And it's been 20 years that I've been taking it and the other Excellent products. And I'm happy to say no drugs and good health, which is, and the brain kind of works most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time you sound pretty coherent. You know what's interesting? Like, I can really make myself unwell by depriving my brain of ketones. So when I'm hungry, here's an interesting thing. When your brain is feeding itself on glucose that comes from starch, it's stupid. Like, your IQ is down. Whereas when you eat, when you are on ketones, which is you're hungry and burning your fat reserves, or you're eating a salad with olive oil and a piece of salmon on top, that's circulating healthy nutrients that will keep you smart. And then throw some Iridesca in your salad if you're wondering. It will work that way too.
Right. I'm just used to a glass of water, put it in, mix it up, drink it down, and
wow.
I'll tell you, it tastes a lot better now than it did 20 years ago.
Yeah. Awesome.
So thank you for joining us, everybody, and head over to Telegram. We're going to be at t.me/life, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.